We may be dealing with barrel scrapings today, but we definitely do have a little bit of West Ham news. One of it sort of perked my interest more than all the rest, and that's something to do with James Ward Prowse still not back in training. We'll get to that in just a second. But what I did, I said to Geo, come on, mate, help me out with a video here, please. So we checked the One Football app, but to be fair, it's not even sponsored by them. So in a few months' time, hopefully, fingers crossed, we get sponsorship again. And I say we always use the One Football app. You'll know that we bloody do because we've been using it today and we're not even sponsoring us anymore. Anyway, I don't want to go too much into this knife for Gerd stuff. It just seems to be regurgitated stories about him. We've covered it extensively on this channel, and there may or may not be interest by Liverpool. I think we're hearing a lot more about it now because it's the international break. I think we're probably first to say Geo Gonzo is missing. You've heard this rumor, have you? At the moment,
I think he missed the latest game for Czech. He wasn't there, so it's sort of like where is Coufal? So hopefully he's not injured. He played the previous game. He just didn't feature in the second game. And Thomas Souček looked like he was ready to batter someone in that match. But did you see Souček's assist, by the way?
I didn't see his assist. No, go on.
Well, honestly, you need to go look it up. Look up Thomas Souček's assist. I've seen him at how long has he been here now? 4 years. I've not seen him move like that at West Ham. Honestly, there was a little drop of the shoulder. He took on his man and he threaded a through ball. And I thought, well, hang on a minute. I'm not seeing. Where's that Souček been?
You sure it's the same guy?
It was definitely the same guy. And do you know how I know it was the same guy? Because Souček
holding a potato salad.
Yeah, Souček tweeted himself. Even he can't believe what he's done. He's bigging up his own assist. Do you know something? Fair play to bloody good assist. But I've not seen him move like that at West Ham.
Well, there you go, Thomas. I'm going to go and search it after we finish recording this video. You lot will probably be off now because there's not a lot of news in this one, to be honest with you. No, there is. There we got the James Ward Prowse stuff. I might dangle that for a little bit longer. You've obviously heard the news as well, Geo, that David Moyes in his interview said that Edson Alvarez won't be touching down in terms of his play won't be landing until Thursday night. I don't know about you. I think he was preparing us to not play him. What do you think?
It's the same with Antonio. Jamaica play at the same time as Mexico do, roughly. So Antonio must also be in the same situation, which is not ideal, is it? You always play the best team in the league. You need your best players available, and that would be 2 of our starting 11 unavailable. But at the end of the day, I have no sympathy. You chose to buy him. You knew he's a Mexican international.
I didn't choose to buy him.
Well, Moyes, West Ham. You choose when you choose to buy someone that's going to be playing every international break, and there's an international break next month, and there's another one the following month. So there's 2 more before the end of the year. Whether you like them or not isn't the point here. The point is this is going to happen twice more, where Alvarez goes away and plays and comes back late. But if you're going to buy a Mexican international, you can't be surprised when he flies to Mexico for a game of football.
No, you can't. You can't be surprised when he goes to Mexico. No, you can't.
You've got to suck it up. And I think this is where you just ask the player. I think football, I mean, we are part of it, so it's a bit hypocritical here, but football's gone so far sometimes that I think when they get back and they're looking at everything almost like data-wise, actually, I think the best thing to do is just say to the player, are you able to play? And if he says yes, just trust him, just trust the player.
Absolutely. Well, because obviously there's been a whole load of international football. We'll speak about Mohammed Kudus next, actually, to be honest with you. We're not going to mention the England-Scotland game on this video, and so we will not mention that. You probably didn't even watch it, did you, Gio?
I wish I hadn't.
We're not going to mention anything about the England-Scotland game. It was a 3-1.
I'm just looking up Ghana. I'm just looking up Kudus here.
He scored twice, didn't he? Not in the England-Scotland game. That was a different game.
Yeah, I believe he scored twice anyway. I've seen a headline saying he scored twice, but I'm just checking that he actually he did actually score twice before we say he did.
Absolutely. Well, allegedly, that's 3 international goals in his 2 games. So he's had a really, really good international break there. I think hopefully, and you just read to the bottom of the article, make sure he didn't get injured whilst you're there. But I think that's really good. We're really, really pleased about that. One person who didn't travel with his international team, and that is James Ward Prowse. He didn't travel with England because England have got so many good players that the manager not a very good manager, the England manager, but clearly a level above some other managers. He has so many good midfielders for his country that he could leave out a player as good as James Ward Prowse. But even if Gareth Southgate had selected James Ward Prowse to beat Scotland, then he wouldn't have been able to go anyway, because clearly he is carrying an injury. Gio, he's not back to training. Go back to training on Monday. That's what everyone thought, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the news, wasn't it? He's had a
Mm.
scan, he's got a bit of a knock, but we're going to give him the rest of the week off. He'll be back on Monday, and he wasn't back on Monday. Yesterday, Tuesday, was a day off for the players, so obviously he wasn't in training then, unsurprisingly. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll hear if James Ward-Prowse returns to training today, but he was absent again on Monday, apparently. So maybe this knocks a little bit worse than we expected. But again, on its own, you can probably get by. But when you tie it in with the Alvarez thing, suddenly it starts to get a little bit nervy in the middle of the park.
Connor Coventry's polishing up his boots. They're recalling Flynn Downs at this very moment. I think with those two, actually four. Let's go with four. Actually, so we just spoke about James Ward-Prowse. We spoke about Kudus. We spoke about Coufal, and we spoke about Alvarez. Actually, and of course, Michail Antonio as well. I think it almost, with Antonio and James Ward-Prowse, it almost doesn't matter. So I think whatever happens, even if they announce themselves fit without any training at all, David Moyes is going to play them both, basically. So I think whatever happens, I think James Ward-Prowse plays, as long as there's nothing, unless someone's been leading us a merry dance with this stuff, and actually there was a scan, it was a bad scan, and it was a lot more than a painkiller injection happened, and the club had done a very, very good job of keeping it quiet, which I don't know, it's hard, but people always pore over that footage. When you see the players on the training ground and the club release the footage, people pore over that. So that's how we knew he wasn't in training on Monday, Gio. Do you think, actually, before we get on to the last thing, I just want to get your opinion on it. Do you think, had James Ward-Prowse have played against Scotland, he would have scored as well?
Move on. What have you got? I've got something for you, but what else have you got?
I've spoken about it. I don't want to mention Jesse Lingard's name anymore, but because I've spoken so much about Jesse Lingard. And what do you think he's going to join? I think he's going to join.
Yeah. I think it makes sense. He won't be on ridiculous wages. If we did sign him last summer, he would have been on 100 odd grand a week. Well, his stocks dropped quite a lot since then, so he won't be on anywhere near that. So the wages he would have got last summer is gone. That contract's off the table now. Sorry, but you're not in demand anymore. That offer is no longer valid. You've got a new one, and I'd imagine he'll still be handsomely paid, but I think he might find himself on wages similar to Coufal, for example, rather than Kurt Zouma, which I'd imagine is what he was being offered a year ago. But
was he getting the fancy bit of him? Was he getting the Scotland team? Lingard?
Anyway, yes, I think we will sign Jesse Lingard. The one thing I will say, there's sort of misinformation out there at the minute, because I've seen suggestions that he needs to be signed by today, Lingard, because West Ham have to submit their Premier League squad today. But the rule, if you have to register all your players, you can't just leave someone out. So if somebody if they're over 21, they need to be registered. And if you've got 25 players, you must register all 25 players, assuming they meet the homegrown quotas, etc. What you can't do is just leave one out and then sign a free agent later on. You can't do that. But if you've only got 24 players, as is the case with West Ham, you register all 24 and you've got a vacancy, then you can sign a free agent beyond this registration period. So Lingard can still sign for us tomorrow, next week, because we're going to have that spot. So he can actually sign for us. And I think he will, and I hope he does. I hope he does.
Was that the one more thing you had to add?
No.
All right. What's the one more thing you had to add then?
Just it's not really something we can just, well, maybe we can. But Peterborough's chairman, Dara McAntony, yes. He said that he was going to sell Ronnie Edwards to West Ham, and he seems a little bit pissed off that we never actually bought him.
The centre back.
Yeah. He's a top centre back as well. Actually, he's a really good centre back, and someone that I think you'd expect to go on and play Premier League football eventually. It just depends as to how long it takes, whether he's good enough now or not. But anyway, he said that with a week to go in his window, his agent, just before the Derby game, actually, and it really messed with the player's head, on the Friday, he said West Ham are going to offer this, this, and this. And then he went on to speak about how he realised that they're a League One side, so they're not going to be asking for anything stupid, but there'll be a lot of clauses in there, just like there would be if a Championship club came in. You say, well, if you get promoted, we want this, blah, blah, blah. So because a Premier League club come in, he was going to structure it, but he said the bid from West Ham never arrived. But he and Peterborough were prepared to sell Ronnie Edwards to West Ham, and his agent was certainly saying that West Ham were going to come in and make a bid for him.
Maybe the Mavropanos deal meant we didn't need to. West Ham have got to look after West Ham at the end of the day. Just goes on the list of players we nearly signed from Peterborough, really, that like Ivan Toney, for instance. But there's this supposed good relationship between the clubs. We did send Martin Samuelson there, twice actually, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. But yeah, I don't think it happens. But because Barry Fry, who's of course their director of football, was manager at Birmingham City under David Sullivan. So I think that's why it's easy to say that there's a relationship there. But yeah, look, McAntony, he's got a lot to say for himself. I like him, by the way. He's on radio quite a lot. I do like him. But he's got a lot to say for himself, and he's just protected his club.
Just randomly. Obviously, we're getting ahead of ourselves looking at January transfer window, but I think you'd be naive to suggest Steidon wasn't already planning for the January transfer window. I've seen there's a bit of a fallout at Chelsea this week. Have you seen that Ian Maatsen apparently not going to be playing for Chelsea again, and then Trevor Chabola as well. He's the other one. Him in particular, because they tried to sell him to Forest and he wouldn't go. So apparently he's been told, like, you're not getting frozen out of the team kind of thing. You're off in January, so find somewhere. So that was two players that we were heavily linked with. I think the Maatsen one's got a little less traction than the Chaloba one does. And there was another player as well. I can't remember who it was, but it's not someone we were linked to. But those two that we were linked to, apparently their future at Chelsea is sort of over.
Well, the Maatsen ones, I find really well. Firstly, it was always going to happen at Chelsea. They got a new manager coming in. They got too many people. Some people were going to get left out. It's as simple as that. Some people were going to get left out. There's no way Pochettino could keep everybody happy. When Cucurella didn't go to Man United, that caused them a problem. But what I found a really interesting issue was the Burnley deal for Maatsen, which was 30-odd million. That broke down as well. That doesn't get revisited in January for both reasons. Number one, but basically because Burnley aren't as good as everybody thought they might be. Not everybody, but you know what I mean. So people, Burnley fans themselves, might have hoped they were, which is always going to be tough for them. But I think, number one, if they're staring down the barrel of a gun in terms of relegation, their board are probably not going to want to fork out 30 million on a fullback. That's the first thing. The other thing is Maatsen himself might look at it, and he would have seen the cold hard light of day, which is actually I'm going to be joining a relegation threatened team here. So just from his own career progression, he's going to want to join somebody else, which might put us into the mix as well. It's going to be really interesting to see, particularly what happens with Aaron Cresswell this season.
Well, it came out that we bid for that Man U left back, didn't we? That went off to Fernandez. He went off to La Liga in the end on loan. He's gone to Granada on loan, and us and Burnley were after him, but I don't think we really made like an actual bid, but we were sort of hovering around him, and he's gone to Spain. So his contract's up in the summer though, so that's maybe one to keep an eye on, because we will need a left back, whether Cresswell goes in January or next summer. I think it's fair to assume Cresswell will not be at West Ham next season, so we're going to need a left back in the summer at the latest. So this is why I think, while transfer rumours come down now, and you might think, oh, we'll leave it out, the window's just shut. But West Ham should be looking at left backs now. They should be looking at Maatsen, and now Fernandez gone out on loan to Spain. Perfect. Get our scout out there quite often and go have a real good look at him, because this is a young lad who's homegrown. So do we need him? If so, let's go get him. As soon as his contract's up, as soon as we can negotiate with him, let's go get him, and let's speak to his agent under the radar and say, do not sign a pre-contract with anyone, because as soon as we can, we're going to offer you a contract and we're going to have you at West Ham. We'll sort of compo with Man United. So we will need a left back. So this is why I know people dismiss transfer rumours at this stage of the season. I get it. I do get it. But actually, now is when we are actually scouting players. In the summer, when we're linked to players, we're not scouting them. That's done. You can't scout. It's finished. It's too late now to start deciding who you're going to go and sign with 1 week to go in the transfer window. That's already the legwork's done. This period we're in now is actually when we start doing the legwork. This is where Steidon will be sending his scouts out. This is where Newman will be speaking to people. This is when Noble will be saying, right, what do we need? This is where they should be saying to David Moyes, right, these players are out of contract. What's your plan? Who are we negotiating with? You know, for Niles in particular is the big one. His contract's up at the end of the season. We don't have an option on it. What are we doing? Can't lose him on a free. So either he needs a new deal or he needs to go in January. It's one of the two. So this is where you've got a plan for selling Pablo Fornals. Maybe that's why we're going to go get Lingard, so that actually we can sell Fornals in January and the replacement's already at the club. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. I'll tell you what, though, I'll be really, really pleased. I think what is nice that we're looking at a left back, and if we can bring in a left back that's sort of the caliber of some of the players we brought in this summer, then I don't know, it's sort of mouthwatering, really, how good the team might be. But anyway, there you go. Thank you very much, Geo, for joining me today to help me out with this. It's difficult in the international break to find topics to discuss, but I think we've done all right. I mean, we've certainly fleshed that out on 15 minutes, mate. To be perfectly honest here, by the time we've done the intro and then the outro as well, hey, might be about half an hour long. You never know. So there you go. There's your little roundup today. James Ward Prowse still not training with the first team, although he might be today. Coufal was missing from the Czech Republic. Mohammed Kudus allegedly might have scored 2 goals.
I just had a look, right? I just had a look. 2 articles said he scored 2, and 2 articles said he scored 1.
So that's 3.
So
added to the other one, which is 4. It's not really. I'm joking, by the way. So there you go. There's your West Ham news roundup, and that's not, obviously we didn't touch on the international football match, which finished England 3. Actually, it wasn't England 3, Scotland 1, was it? Because the other way around, it was a home game for Scotland. So it was Scotland 3. England won.
Hang on. I'm on.
In their Scotland won. England 3 in their backyards in the Scottish stadium.
Anyway, Kudus scored 1. I've gone on Flash Score, which are a reliable place to go get your scores and your scorers, and he scored the second goal, which I've seen. Brought it down the 18-yarder. To be fair, it was against Iberia, but the defender was a bit crap. He brought it down, moved on to his left foot and scored. It wasn't anything too fast. Not like his free kick the other night. That was a good goal, but he scored 1 goal.
Assist.
So you accuse us of clickbait. There's websites out there genuinely saying he scored a brace when he hadn't. So
I haven't done the title for this. You haven't seen you haven't seen how many goals I've attributed to him to try and get people encouraged.
Kudus hat-trick.
Kudus double hat-trick forces David Moyes into dropping Lucas Paquetá. That's the one. I'm going for that.
Get that in your title.
Thanks for tuning in.